Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are diving into what is, I think, probably the single most common yet, anxiety-inducing real-world English scenario.
Right.
Ordering food in a restaurant.
It really is the moment of truth, isn't it? I mean, you could have studied English for years. You feel totally confident talking about, politics or economics.
Yeah.
But then the waiter comes over, asks this really fast question about what you want to eat, and suddenly your mind just goes blank. It's the ultimate social and linguistic stress test.
And we totally get that anxiety. It's so high pressure because, the transaction is essential, right? You need to eat.
Yeah.
But the social expectations are also really high. And if you mess up, you might end up with a dish you didn't actually want.
Yeah, exactly. So our mission today is to move beyond, just memorizing vocabulary lists. We've got this fantastic set of custom sources here. It's like a targeted guide that's focused completely on getting you to a confident, flowing conversation at the dinner table. We're not just learning what to say. We're learning the rhythm, the flow, the whole intention behind every phrase.
That's a great way to put it. And our central case study today is a full role-play conversation. We're going to call the restaurant the Golden Spoon.
Okay.
And we're going to stop, rewind, and just unpack every single line. The idea is that by the end of this deep dive, you can sit down at any dining table, anywhere, and just feel ready for whatever comes your way.
We're moving from just basic understanding to real conversational mastery. So let's set the scene. You've just walked into the restaurant. The conversation starts instantly. And we're going to make sure that initial shock, that greeting where your mind usually just freezes, we're going to make sure that's totally managed.
Okay, so the moment you walk in the door, you hit that first linguistic hurdle. It's usually the host or hostess. And before you've even had a second to look around, they hit you with, "Hi there, how many in your party?"
And this is where we have to break down the jargon, because that phrase, it trips up so many people. The anxiety comes from that one word, party.
Right. Party makes you think of a celebration.
Exactly. In normal social English, a party is, a birthday party, a celebration. But in this specific restaurant context, it's purely transactional. It has nothing to do with balloons or cake.
So they're not asking if I'm here for a special occasion.
Not at all. They're just asking, very simply, how many people are with you? Think of it as a logistical term. A party, in restaurant speak, is just a single group of diners who need to be seated together. It's a unit of business for them.
That distinction is so important.
Yeah.
It means you don't need to come up with some complicated answer. The host is just trying to figure out which table to give you.
That's it. They're juggling tables, they're looking at reservations, so that quick high-pressure question just needs a quick, efficient response. Our source material confirms this. The best response is almost always just a number, followed by, a polite little word.
Like, "Just two, please."
Perfect. Or 4 of us. If you try to get complicated right at the start and say something like, "Well, there are 4 of us, but one person might be late," you're just creating friction.
You're gumming up the works.
You are. Keep it focused only on the number of people who need a chair right at that moment.
Okay, but hold on. If I just say "two, please," does it sound too abrupt? A little rude, maybe? Or is being efficient really the most important thing?
That's a fantastic question, and it gets into the whole nuance of American service culture. Politeness is always valued, of course, but at this first stage, clarity and speed are king.
I see.
Just 2, please, is actually perfect. The word "just" softens it a little bit, and "please" adds the courtesy. That's exactly what they're listening for.
So I don't need a more formal option.
You could say something like "a table for 2" if you have one, and that's totally fine. But honestly, the quick, simple structure is what the host wants. They just need that number so they can move on to the next step. You've passed the first gate.
Great. So once we're seated, we get the menu. And our guide notes that this is the list of food and drinks. This is the transition point, and it usually leads right into the first actual order of the meal, the drinks.
Right. And the waiter manages this transition really smoothly. They'll usually ask a specific introductory question, which we saw in the role play. "Can I get you started with anything to drink?"
And that phrasing is important, isn't it? Get you started.
It's very powerful but subtle. They're not asking for your entire meal plan for the night. They're just offering to start the service process. It's a low-pressure way to begin the transaction.
Okay, so this is where we need to look at the specific language for ordering. The source gave us 2 really good examples from our pretend diners. One of them said, "I'll have a glass of water, please." And the other one said, "And I'd like an iced tea, no sugar."
And these 2 examples, they perfectly show the 2 main ways to order. The first one, "I'll have," is a contraction of I will have. It's a commitment. Linguistically, what we're talking about here is something called volition.
Okay.
By using will, you're framing your order not as a demand right now, like I take water, but as an intention for the very near future. It signals a polite commitment to your choice.
Which sounds way less demanding. It's more like an agreement. You will have it, and they will bring it.
Exactly. And the second structure, I'd like, which is a contraction of I would like, is a little bit softer. It's a conditional statement. It expresses a preference or a desire.
So they're both good to use.
Oh yeah, both are totally acceptable. But it's useful to know the slight difference in tone. I'll have is a little more decisive. I'd like is maybe a tiny bit more tentative. Both are great.
Now let's go back to that second drink order. And I'd like an iced tea, no sugar. This brings up the whole topic of modifiers. Why is adding that simple phrase, no sugar, so important, even for a simple drink?
Because if you don't say it, you're going to get the cultural default. And if you're dining in, say, the southern United States, the default for iced tea is often very, very sweet.
Right.
So by using the modifier no sugar, you're actively taking control of how your drink is prepared. This applies to so many things. If you just say coffee, who knows what you'll get? Maybe it's black, maybe it comes with cream already in it.
So the lesson is that you have to be vigilant with any generic item. You need to be ready to add these basic modifications.
Absolutely. Think about all the little modifiers you might need. With milk, decaf, no ice, with a splash of lime or on the side.
Yeah.
If you don't state the modifier, you just get the standard version. Mastering that simple structure of item, modifier right from the beginning with drinks, it sets you up perfectly for ordering more complex food later. It's a really core skill.
Okay, so we're moving on now from drinks to the main event. There's usually a little waiting period here, and the waiter's kind of watching you. They won't usually interrupt you if you're in the middle of a deep conversation.
Right, they look for cues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A visual cue, menus are closed, you make eye contact, maybe there's a pause in your conversation. That's when they'll come back and check on your readiness.
And that check-in is the critical question. Are you ready to order?
What I love about our source material is how it highlights the graceful escape route the waiter always gives you. They don't just demand your order.
That's right, because good service etiquette is all about minimizing pressure. The full phrase we saw at the Golden Spoon was, are you ready to order, or do you need a few more minutes?
And that second part, or do you need a few more minutes, is everything.
It is. It's a vital linguistic cushion. It just immediately lowers the stakes. It tells you it's okay to not be ready.
So if you're not ready, what's the best way to say that?
Just the simple, polite request. Something like, could we have a couple more minutes, please? See how we're back to that modal verb, could. It's a polite, indirect way of asking for more time.
And if you are ready.
If you are ready, the source gives us the perfect, low-stress response. I think we're ready.
Okay, so why is I think we're ready better than just a simple yes? It seems like a small difference.
It's a minor distinction, but it has a major social impact. A blunt yes can sound a little sharp, a little, aggressive. I think we're ready is just a bit softer. It feels more conversational.
It's like a bridge into the next part of the conversation.
Exactly. You're confirming you're ready, but you're doing it in a way that fits the kind of relaxed, flowing atmosphere of dining out.
Okay, so once readiness is confirmed, the next logical step, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed by all the choices on the menu, is to ask for help. This is where you can ask for a suggestion.
And the phrase to just lock into your memory is simple and works everywhere. What would you recommend?
That's such a powerful phrase. I think it's because it shows you trust them, right? You're treating the waiter like an expert.
It is. It's very flattering to them. You're basically inviting them to be your guide. And, a lot of the time, their recommendation is genuinely the dish the kitchen is most proud of that day.
And the example from the source material is so important for setting our expectations of what kind of answer we'll get. When the waiter in the role play was asked for a recommendation, they didn't just say, the salmon's good.
No, not at all. They gave a really comprehensive response. They said, our most popular dish is the grilled salmon with lemon butter. It comes with steamed vegetables and rice.
That one sentence is gold.
It is, because it details the 3 key things a diner needs to know. First, the main item and how it's prepared. Grilled salmon with lemon butter. Second, the default side dishes. Steamed vegetables and rice.
And having that level of detail is so empowering. Because if you don't like rice or you're allergic to lemon, you now have the exact information you need to ask for a change, which we'll get to in a bit.
Right. But for now, let's say the customer loves that idea. The final step is to actually place the order.
And this is where we have to just eliminate I want this from our vocabulary in a restaurant. It sounds so demanding.
It sounds childish or aggressive or like you're in a hurry. We need to go back to the two structures we learned for the drinks.
Which were, 1, can I get? And 2, I'll have.
Let's really dig into why these work so well. Take, I'll have the grilled salmon, please. As we said, I'll have uses that will verb to show volition. It's a statement of commitment, it's direct, it's efficient, but it's still polite because it's not a demand in the present tense.
Okay, and what about can I get? This is the one that I think confuses people. Why are we asking for permission to get food we're about to pay for?
That's the magic of English politeness. Can I get is the ultimate indirect request. Technically, you're asking if you're able to get the item. In a service situation like this, phrasing it as a question, can I get the salmon, frames the whole thing as a request for service, not a command. English speakers do this all the time. We use can, could, would, may to keep things harmonious.
So if the recommendation worked, the easiest thing to say is just, I'll have the grilled salmon, please.
Short, strong, polite. Perfect.
But what if it's the other way around? What if the waiter is really busy and you need to get their attention to order? How do you do that politely?
That's a great real-world scenario. You should never, shout or wave your arms around like crazy. You just wait for a moment of eye contact, and then you use a quiet, simple phrase like, excuse me, or pardon me, and then maybe add, we're ready to order when you have a moment. It respects their workflow and signals your readiness really softly.
Okay, this is the high-stakes section. Ordering with modifications. This is where my confidence can just disappear. You're not just reading from the menu anymore, you're going off script. And the fear is always, am I being a difficult customer?
This is exactly why the second customer's order in our source material is so valuable. It shows the best way to combine a main order with the specific change all in one smooth sentence. The order was, could I get the chicken pasta? And can you make it a little less spicy?
Let's break that down. They start with the main order using could I get.
Right, and by using could I get, instead of, say, I'll have, they've added another layer of politeness. Could is often seen as a little more formal, a little more tentative than can.
So it's like a warning that a special request is coming.
It acts as a buffer, exactly. It signals that a non-standard request is about to follow. Then comes the modification itself. And can you make it a little less spicy?
That's a classic question structure, but it still sounds very polite.
It is. The structure is key here. Modal verb, can or could, plus action verb, make, plus the change you want, a little less spicy. And adding that qualifier a little softens the request even more. You're not asking for a totally bland dish, just a small adjustment.
And you could use that structure for anything. If you wanted your steak cooked medium instead of medium rare, you could say, can you make it medium, please?
Precisely. Or substitution. Can you switch the rice for fries? Or if you want something left out, could you hold the onions, please? The framework is always the same. It's an indirect request for action.
But the most important part of this whole exchange is the waiter's confirmation. This is the moment you can finally relax. The source gives us their immediate response. Sure, mild spice.
And this is just perfect linguistic efficiency. The waiter confirms the request using simple, clear kitchen shorthand. Mild spice means a little less spicy. Hearing that tells you two things. 1, they understood you, and 2, your request was accepted and will be sent to the kitchen correctly.
No more anxiety.
None. The loop is closed. Then, once the main dishes are sorted, the waiter will usually ask a broad follow-up question like, anything else for you today?
And this is your chance to add appetizers, bread, or in our role play, a shared item. The example was, could we also get a side salad to share?
And we have to talk about that phrase, to share. It seems small, but it's more important than you'd think. What happens if you forget to say it?
Good question.
If you just order a side salad, the waiter will assume it's for one person. And if you're a group of 4 and you order one small side salad, they might bring it out with one fork, or they might even have to ask, okay, who is this for?
So adding to share just avoids all that confusion. It tells them about portion size and that you'll probably need extra plates or forks. It's a great conversational shortcut.
It is. And just quickly, since we're on modifications, the trickiest one is substitutions. Let's say you want to swap potatoes for fries. You should probably check if that costs extra.
How would you phrase that?
You could say, can I get the grilled chicken and can I substitute the mashed potatoes for a side of spinach? Is there an extra charge for that? Combining the request with the cost question is both polite and very competent.
Okay, now that we've gone through the hard part, let's step back and reinforce the overall strategy for just feeling less anxious. Our sources gave some really essential tips.
The first one is so simple, but we forget it when we're stressed. Speak slowly. The temptation is to rush to get it over with. You have to resist that.
When you speak slowly, you give your brain time to find the right words, and you give the waiter time to understand you, especially if the restaurant is loud or if you have an accent. Clear and slow is always better than fast and confusing.
Tip number 2, use simple sentences. We've been talking about these nice, polite structures, but the source reminds us that if you really panic, "I want the salmon" is okay. It's not great, but it's clear.
So clarity over politeness if you're in a jam.
Absolutely. It's better to get what you want than to freeze up trying to be perfectly polite. Then tip number 3 is the physical cheat code. Point to the menu.
Yes, if you're worried about pronouncing something complicated like bouillabaisse or something.
Exactly. Just point. It's a universally accepted shortcut. It completely bypasses any pronunciation anxiety and guarantees there's no confusion. You just point and say, "I'll have this one, please." Perfect.
And the final tip links back to what we were saying earlier. Don't be afraid to ask questions. The sources give 3 great examples. What's in this dish? Is it spicy? And is it vegetarian?
And asking these questions isn't being difficult. It's being an engaged customer. It helps you make a better decision. Plus, waiters are trained to answer these. They want to help you. It's part of their job, and you should never feel bad for asking.
All right, we've broken down all the individual pieces. Now let's step into the golden spoon and walk through the entire role play from start to finish. This is all about seeing the seamless flow, how these phrases connect in real time.
We're starting right at the beginning. Part 1, seating and drinks. Listen to how fast and efficient this first exchange is. The hostess is moving quick. "How many in your party?" And the customer replies, "Just 2, please."
That's it. Less than 3 seconds. Purely logistical.
Then the waiter takes over. "Here are your menus. I'll be back in a moment to check on drinks." That phrase, "I'll be back in a moment," is great because it sets your expectation. You know they're coming back soon, so you can start thinking.
A minute or 2 goes by, the waiter returns. "Can I get you started with anything to drink?"
And here come those simple, direct answers we talked about. Notice the 2 different structures. The first customer says, "I'll have a glass of water, please."
That's the decisive "I will have."
Right. And the second customer says, "And I'd like an iced tea, no sugar."
Which is the slightly softer "I would like." And they immediately use that crucial modifier, no sugar. They knew the default might be sweet. That's just perfect execution right out of the gate.
The waiter comes back with the drinks and moves right into part 2, the main course order.
The flow is really picking up now.
The waiter says, "Here you go, 1 water and 1 iced tea. Are you ready to order, or do you need a few more minutes?" It's a great transition. Acknowledges the drinks, checks for readiness, offers the escape route, all in 1 sentence.
And since they're ready, they use that perfect phrase, "I think we're ready."
It sounds so much more confident than just yes, doesn't it? Then the first customer immediately uses the recommendation strategy. "What do you recommend today?"
The waiter gives the detailed breakdown. Grilled salmon with lemon butter comes with steamed vegetables and rice. The customer has all the info.
And they lock it in. "That sounds great. I'll have the grilled salmon, please."
Okay, now customer B brings in the complexity, the modification.
"Could I get the chicken pasta? And
Yeah.
can you make it a little less spicy?"
And look how smooth that is. The softer "could I get" for the main item, and then the customization attached right on the end with "can you make it?" It's so well done.
And the waiter's response shows they absorbed it without any problem. "Sure, mild spice."
And that mild spice confirmation is the signal. It means, I understood your request, and it's going to the kitchen correctly. The waiter then does the final check. "Anything else for you today?"
Which leads right to that smooth sharing request. "Could we also get a side salad to share?"
The last little bit of conversation before the food comes is the waiter's confirmation. This part's important for managing expectations.
They say, "Of course, I'll put that in for you. Your food should be out shortly."
I'll put that in for you. That's the classic restaurant shorthand for, "I'm sending the order to the kitchen now and should be out shortly." Just lets you know the process is started. The whole sequence, order A, order B with a change, side to share, it just shows complete command of the structure.
Okay, let's fast forward through the meal itself. We'll skip to part 3, the post-meal check-in. The waiter comes back when the plates are mostly empty.
Right, and they ask that classic question. How was everything?
This is mostly a social formality in the US and the UK. Unless something went horribly wrong, it just requires a simple positive response. Just saying fine can sometimes sound a little cold.
So you want something a bit warmer. The 2 responses in the source are great models for this.
The first one is simple gratitude. It was excellent, thank you.
And the other one uses a strong positive word. Yes, really delicious.
The key is just to use that positive language.
Yeah.
Excellent, delicious, wonderful, great. It affirms the service and the meal, and it closes that conversational loop really nicely.
Okay, the meal's done. Everyone's happy. We're in the final stretch of the dining conversation. There are just two last hurdles: the dessert offer and asking to pay.
Even if you looked totally full, the waiter has to offer that last potential sale. Would you like any dessert today? It's their job, so you need a polite, simple way to say no if you're done.
And the source gives us the perfect phrase, "Not today, thanks."
It's so good because it avoids a long explanation. You don't need to say, oh, I'm too full or I'm on a diet. Not today, thanks. Is direct, it's polite, and it closes the door on ordering more food without being awkward at all.
The word "today" is a nice touch, too. It sort of implies you might get dessert next time.
It does. It keeps the relationship friendly. And finally, we get to the most essential closing phrase asking for the bill, or as it's most often called in North American restaurants, the check.
And we're back to that familiar, polite, indirect request structure. Could we get the check, please?
We should really nail down this vocabulary difference because it can be confusing. Check means the bill. It's the itemized list of what you owe. Now, if you say bill, people will probably understand you.
But check is the word to use in the U.S.
Yeah, check is the standard, most common term in an American restaurant. Knowing both is good, but training yourself to use the local word check just makes you sound that much more fluent.
So, could we get the check, please, is the go-to phrase.
It's the most common and courteous way to ask.
And while we're on the topic of paying, what about splitting the check? That's a common follow-up question. How do you ask for that?
That's a great real-world application. Once the waiter brings the check, you can just say, could we split the check, please? Or can we pay separately? We're just applying the same polite modal verb structures we've been using all along.
Got it. And once you've asked for the check, the waiter's final line confirms the action. Absolutely, I'll bring it right over.
And that's the signal. The transaction is basically complete. Your exit is near. You have successfully navigated the entire dining experience from that first logistical greeting to the final request for payment, all using these fluent, low-anxiety structures.
So that was our deep dive into the language of the menu. Our whole mission was to move you from feeling hesitant to feeling confident, really focusing on the structure and the flow that makes these interactions so much smoother.
And we really honed in on those structural elements, mastering that gentle, indirect request with can I get or I'll have, and knowing how to use key phrases like what would you recommend to smooth things out and show respect.
By breaking down that full script from the Golden Spoon, we hope you can now just visualize every single step from how many in your party all the way to, could we get the check, please? You have the full playbook now.
So for our final provocative thought, let's take the structures we learned today and push them into a slightly more high-stakes scenario. The sources were really good at giving us phrases for preferences, right? Like, is it spicy or is it vegetarian? Which use that simple, is it X framework.
Okay, but the sources didn't really touch on how to handle serious, potentially life-threatening food allergies. And that's a situation that requires absolute certainty.
Which raises a really critical question for you to think about next time you dine out. You have to take the confidence you gain from ordering and modifying and apply it to the highest level of detail. Instead of just asking, is this dish vegetarian, you might need to ask, does this dish contain peanuts?
And if the allergy is severe, you have to worry about cross-contamination too. So how would you use the structures we learned, the modal verbs, the indirect requests, to make sure the waiter understands how serious this is?
You'd have to level up. You'd move from the simple question, is it X, to a request for investigation. For example, I have a severe nut allergy. Could you please check with the chef to confirm that the kitchen can prepare the salmon without any cross-contamination?
Ah, I see. So could you please check is the key.
Exactly. You're using that super polite, professional request structure to get the most critical information you need. It ensures your safety and your confidence. And the ability to form that advanced question, well, that proves you've truly mastered the foundational language of the menu.